Welcome to our session, Our Lives with Water. Today, our guest is Jannis Ulma from Latvia. Janne, I know your work very well, and I'm super grateful you are here with us. So I'm just wondering if you could introduce yourself and your connection to the Baltic Sea.
Well, yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Jannis. That's for Latvia introduction as it is enough. But if we speak seriously, I represent Foundation for Environmental Education in Latvia, and I've been environmentalist since my teenage years. And on one occasion, some 15, 14 years ago, we established a campaign that directly relates to Baltic Sea and Latvian coastline and the issue of the marine litter and community involvement. And the campaign is called till this day Campaign My Sea, or in Latvian Mana Jūra.
Could you also tell us a bit more on what this campaign or the expedition involves? What does it really, is it like people join, or what it takes
Yeah,
place?
then I have to tell you the whole story, but I'm afraid we do not have 3 hours of the recording time. But shortly, actually, we set up the campaign thanks to the collaboration among Baltic Sea environmentalists. We began working on marine litter on 2010, and then we recognize the problem among the Latvia, Estonia, Sweden, and Finland. We recognize the problem that marine litter is an issue that is somehow very high suddenly on the political agendas and policy agendas. But if make big promises and commitments politically to decrease litter amounts by that and that percentage or by that and that measure, we actually do not know, at least in this side of the Baltic Sea coast, in the Baltics, we do not have numbers from what baseline we are doing so. And we wanted to help policymakers and decision makers, and we wanted to get a snapshot, a picture of what's the real situation. So we wanted to make initial monitoring program, monitoring sessions along the coast, and then we had to decide how we will do that. And we could do that alone, and we could do the information part by publishing brochures and making conferences, and these are all needed things. But somehow our team was a little bit, I don't know how to make it sound correctly, not fed up, but tired of all those things repeating themselves from project to project, from theme to theme. So we decided instead of that, we will close in one summer our offices. We will make some really lousy planning. Nobody of us was expedition masters or had some serious connections to the wildlife survivals, but we decided that we are ready, and we wanted to do all the work ourselves. So we closed our offices, rented a bus, and went to the Latvian-Lithuanian border and started to walk and making the surveys and making the research work. And in one of the first evenings, it appeared to us that probably there are more crazy people like us. And because every Latvian, that's about Latvian mentality, we love sea, we feel connected to sea. And even if you live some 300 kilometers inland, you still want at least once a season to visit sea. It's kind of a magnet for, and we are not using coastline as you would use in Mediterranean. We use coastline mostly for walking, for recreation, not for typical beach activities. It wouldn't be major reason to visit the sea. So, and we invited people. In first year, let's see how it goes. And people started to join in. And then after a couple of days, when first people totally unknown to us started to join, we felt that we touched upon something very important in the sense of those big challenges environmental education faces and environmental policy making, that we live in the age of such information density that by information or knowledge or facts or anything without personal experience, you can tell everything, but it won't create a change in the attitudes or even unless it would create a change in behavior. And after 3 days with us, when people by their feet and by their hands and eyes saw the real problem being together with us in the surveys, so they really started to reflect deeply what's real issues on the coast. And so happened, and I returned to the fact that it was meant as a one-time experience within one project with aim to get a snapshot view of data. What's the real situation, what the marine litter pressures and loads at that point of 2012 on Latvian coast. But since 2012, we are continuing this each year for the reason that when people join, when people have an opportunity to see and feel and experience, they change much better attitudes and behaviors after seeing our infographics or data sheets or participating in our press conferences. And we've built, and we are continuing that we are responsible for data. And now this adventure turned into official beach litter monitoring program in Latvia. So we are responsible for data, but we are keeping this community alive because it inspires us. Actually, this community we've built, new people are joining in, people who join us each year or almost each year. We have a young generation. We had small kids with parents joining in the first years. And now they are already 18 years old, and they are joining in as a prospective expedition leaders in coming years. So whole generation grown together with us. So, and that's how we keep going. We are doing more or less the same thing. We are combining the surveys and proper research with educational activities, cultural activities, meeting with activists on the coast, meeting with municipalities, trying to meet decision makers, making media and community communication work. So yeah, that's what we are. That's our story. That's how we grew.
It's wonderful, Yanni, and brings me back to some of the memories. Lucky to have had this opportunity to be at the coast with you and on this adventure. And I really enjoyed when you said that the adventure became also part of a policy action. And I think it's a true example of how inspiring such a small scale activities can actually turn into large impact. Just for the final words, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more on this cultural activities in some of the expedition years you have been doing, as our approach is also linking art and science. So I wondered if you could tell some examples how you did it in your expeditions.
Yes, each year, depending on what our capacity at that certain point is, we are trying to do something, either culture or communication or experience linked apart, and not only on the issue of marine litter, because art is one of the languages how we can reach people, and culture is the biggest of the languages. So we had a multitude of the activities. I think most memorable is that we are trying to keep alive at least couple of cultural events on the coast, on the places where usually concerts do not happen, in the lighthouses or directly on the coast. We are trying to bring musicians to tell the story of value of the Baltic Sea to those places, and it's a present for both for us and for participants or anybody who could join in. We had workshops and master classes with art, together with artists, together with local activists, together with local fishermen. So we are trying, when we are getting people to the coastline, we are trying to bring them, make them face this huge diversity, layers, many layers of what's the value of our coastline, what the value of the Baltic Sea, not only economically or environmentally, but for us as a nation, for us as a historical linkage with the Baltic Sea, and so and so.
It's wonderful. Thanks, Yanni. I will need to close at the moment, but I will definitely follow up on the future activities. And it is truly inspiring also when you say this social element and what ocean and seas mean to us. So thank you very much. And I'm just going to remind the listeners that today's guest was Jannis Ulma. And I thank again, and we see you at the coast.
See you at the coast.